Greetings, programs. The makers of Grizzled Veterans would like to apologize for the audio in this episode due to technical issues. Please don't derez us. It won't happen again.
I know you feel this.
Okay, we're back, episode 2, which is, I guess we settled on Grizzled Veterans now. Yeah.
As a team, we've settled on?
Yeah, I think we settled on it.
Okay,
As
good.
a squad.
All right.
As a squad. So, episode 2 of Grizzled Veterans.
Right,
we're here again.
To combine our biotic abilities just for you.
Biotic explosions is the way. But, I don't know. I guess I'm pretty proud that we made it to episode 2. I think most podcasts probably die after 1.
Well, and I'll say this much. We've got a lot of positive feedback from people, and I'm pretty impressed that in a sea of podcasts, we've done pretty good.
Yeah, our views were up, but hey, we make this more for ourselves. I mean, it's nice that people listen, but we'll get to 1,000 or so listeners somewhere down the line.
We'll be making it for you soon enough, fans.
Sure.
All two
well, anyway,
of you.
Again, episode 2, I'm Jason Rose.
And I'm your humble co-host, Donovan Oziak.
Yeah. Busy week. Busy week with games. Busy week for me, personally. What have you been up to?
Well, big games. Mass Effect 3, cleared it on the weekend. Unfortunately, you didn't, so...
To be honest, I haven't done a ton of gaming this week. I don't know why. I don't know.
I gotta be honest, I felt a little pressured to finish Mass Effect in time for the podcast. So
yeah.
I hope you feel guilty.
I do a little bit. I'm at the part with the Gethkorian where they go down. It's basically the second part of the mission.
You are basically leading into what will become the final mission, say. But the final mission is divided into a couple of sections.
I'm sure.
And it actually takes quite a while to get through it all. I mean... You know, I kind of was trying to gauge how long it might take me. You know, I'd be coming home on the afternoon shift trying to, you know, see if I could finish it. But no, it would be like 20 to 4 in the morning, and I'd be like, I think I still got a ways to go.
Sure,
so.
Some of the missions can get going. You don't want to miss anything. But how am I liking it? I really like the game. I'm finding it difficult to avoid everything and trying... I'm finding it difficult to avoid opinions before I actually finish the game or... anything. Recently, actually, Donovan... Oh, I guess I more or less asked you, and you just confirmed it. I thought my squad was going to be bigger than what it actually turns out to be, and I just recently got the final squad member, which was Tally. And I have to say, I know I'll probably love the game all the way through, and I've loved all the missions, but I'm sincerely disappointed in what I think is probably the strength of the series... Other than sci-fi background and the races, whatever, but in terms of gameplay, the squad is what I always look forward to.
And I think a lot of people going into this kind of thought that, you know, this is the big finale. We're going to have, like, everybody on the Normandy.
Well, I didn't think... I knew we'd have less characters than 2. 2 was supposed to be like the Dirty Dozen thing.
Okay.
I knew they took that take on it, and, you know, it was your team versus the world.
Right.
I didn't expect them to match it or give me the same amount. You can have just as strong of a cast without having as many, but too many boring human characters. Too many characters that I never wanted to use. I didn't find them that interesting in the first game. Although I really like Tally. I think she's cute. She adds different things to the story and her expertise, and she adds a good dynamic to the Gethkorian thing.
And if you play her with Garrus...
They have a lot of banter.
They have a lot of banter.
It's the nostalgic thing. But, like, even in the first game, I didn't want to use Tally that much.
I didn't use her much in the first game either.
Now, I know there's going to be a lot of characters like that. They try to do everything for everyone, but...
Well, again, it has a lot to do with your play style, too,
True,
right?
But I don't think... There's just too many boring human characters. Like, Ashley's boring. Ashley or Caden.
Well, we already talked... I mean, we talked about this briefly. The fact that you've got Ashley on the Normandy, but she doesn't engage in any... like major conversations. I went to visit her half a dozen times at least, and the most fun thing that happened with her was that I found her passed out on the floor once.
Nice.
Because she had stayed up all night drinking with Vega.
Yeah, and that's cool. And now I think it has something to do with they probably had to split time or studio time between her and Caden, so they didn't give them crazy stories each way. They split them between both.
Right.
And I get that, but even still, I get why they're there. Okay, it's a decision that carried over the first one. Vega sucks. You know, he was voiced. They brought in Freddie Prinze, not like he's some big actor, but he's a known guy.
Yeah.
And he's just boring.
Yeah.
He adds nothing. I never want to take him into the. If I'm looking for the diehard soldier in my group, that's my male shepherd.
Yeah.
Or the female. The female could be the same way.
Yeah.
He just adds nothing to the. I never want to use him. I think I've read on forums though. I think that's the general consensus. Not many people like Vega, and that's like Garrus is the only character that I really like. Well, Javik, I like him too, but since he's the downloadable character, which will lead us into our topic of the episode, but we'll get to that later. Javik's banter is great, and he's a very strong character from a race we never got to use.
Right.
And so that's something in itself that adds to the game. It's something new. But after that, there's no one.
Well, I'll tell you, on most missions, and I said early in the game, I was using Liara and Garrus. And then I started using Javik a lot. And a lot of it had to do with his banter, which we kind of mentioned.
It's funny.
We talked about earlier. But yeah, I guess as the game progressed, it became more about, like, I think you and I were both using a lot of Javik and Garrus.
Yeah, well, that's it. I don't... Liara... She was okay in the first one because she had that innocence thing. She was... Sorry, lived for, 1,000 years, and she was in her early stages, and, you know, she was obsessed with the Protheans. It was kind of a cool story, but now that she's the Shadow Broker, she's very serious, and... I mean, on a personal note, she was never one of my favorites anyway, but in a cast that's very limited, it's glaring more because she's one of the only ones... You know, she's a really strong character to use in terms of battle, but... personality, it does nothing for me. So I'm disappointed. I actually had a night where I was very disheartened. It almost had the effect on me that Dragon Age 2 had. I know you didn't play or like the Dragon Age, but it's another BioWare creation. That was the first one was on the backs of its characters. The characters were the strong suit. I can't really talk about it with you, but there was a lot of memorable characters in there. Really, there was.
I played about 11 hours of that, and I had hoped it would pull me in, and it just didn't.
PC might be better for you. It was a better game, but once I got into the story and the dynamics, it really was like it was the Mass Effect for the fantasy generation, because the character, every dynamic was brought over. It was great. But Dragon Age 2 dropped the ball for the characters and everything, and just killed it for me. It really, the game went from, like, I platinumed Origins, which is, it's like a 100-hour game just about. And although I finished 2, I wouldn't give it any more than a 6. I thought it was terrible.
Yeah. Well, you're certainly not the only one that feels that way.
Yeah. But anyway, so that's how I feel on the cast. It bothers me that that's the final cast.
Well,
going through the rest of the... I know there's other things that are going to happen, but I always look forward to the different dynamics and talking to people in Normandy, and I miss the banter with a Thane, with Grunt, with Morden. Morden was even... Like, Jacob was probably the most boring character in 2, and he even had a lot of things to say. But the thing is, I could look over Jacob because there was 5 other guys that were way better to talk to.
Right. And now comes the part where we segue into our topic of the week, which is downloadable content.
And the fleecing of the consumer base. Because, honestly, I've had enough, and I'm in a bad mood anyway this whole week, so I'm just going to fucking rant. I'm going to try not to cut Donovan on and off, but I think he feels the same way about a lot of different things.
The first thing that comes to mind, because it's only a couple weeks old, is Street Fighter Cross Tekken.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's bullshit. Capcom's been doing it the whole time. They are the worst, but there's other companies that are slowly challenging them for the top rip-off title for download, omitting content on purpose.
Well, yeah. I mean, a lot of people feel that the character download for Mass Effect 3 was removed from the game to make it DLC. I mean, it feels wrong.
Now, as we talked about this before we went live here, but I don't disagree with having day one downloadable content or giving collector's edition guys an option or incentive to have it. They did it with the original, but the character that they give you is integral, and I don't care how they fucking spin it.
Yeah.
Like, well, if you don't know what it is by now, you don't care about Mass Effect. So I'm just gonna go. It's a Prothean character. The Protheans are the long extinct race. Blah blah blah. They're integral to the story in every aspect.
Yeah.
Don't give me the crap that they're not. It's not really integral to the story. They don't. The character you get, Javik, or is Javik,
I think it's
right?
Javik.
Yeah, he's the second best character in the game,
Pretty
other
much.
than Garrus.
Yeah.
He's funny, and he's something we haven't seen before.
Yeah.
Like, which also leads to the thing.
You say he's funny. He's funny without even intending.
Well, it's his outlook and stuff, which is hilarious. And that's why I was so disappointed. Like, I thought we were going to be able to use a Batarian in the main game. It really bothers me that we're not.
It really bothers you, but
It does,
Batarian
because
stuff.
it's obviously we're not going to use a Hanar. It's a jellyfish.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
That's cool. But it's like the one race that is warmongering, that's humanoid, that looks like you should be able to use in some. It doesn't make sense that there isn't one Batarian that would want to join you or help out.
Yeah, because I mean there are races that you're like, no, that wouldn't work. I mean,
The Hanar.
The Hanar wouldn't work.
The Elcor.
The Elcor wouldn't work.
The Volus.
The Volus.
Yeah.
And yeah, those are the guys with the crazy teeth, right?
No, the Volus are the banker clan.
Oh, okay. Right.
Yes, them.
Now, who?
The Vorcha.
The Vorcha.
But the Vorcha could work because they're mercenaries. But I thought that would be hilarious because he'd be like feral.
Yeah.
He's like, they're crazy and they're like the Krogan buddies,
Like,
and
let me at 'em, Shepard.
they're like parasites.
Yeah.
They would work. That would be hilarious. The Vorcha get no love. They were only really introduced in the second game.
Yeah.
Now we're sort of going back, but I got to talk about the cast because it really bothers me. But the Vorcha would fit, and who knows, maybe some outlying world, and they're just getting wiped out by the Reapers.
Yeah.
You come in, and one of the Paragon options to help them, and if you help them, you get the backing or a squad mate.
Yeah.
It would just make a lot of sense, and it's different.
Yeah.
It's not boring Human 3. I don't want that. I wanted something new, and that was where my disappointment comes from. But in terms of the downloadable content, I've heard every excuse in the book. I know games go gold, and then they're tinkering with stuff, and they say it wasn't ready to add in. I call bullshit.
I do too.
I really do.
Yeah. With this one, I definitely agree with you.
EA has its finger on everything, and they've been getting worse.
No, I mean like they got their finger in the cooch.
Yeah. Sorry, I think you're telling me to get closer to the mic.
Marcus Beer on Invisible Walls, they were talking about this too, and he basically said, yeah, EA's got their fingers in the cooch on this one.
Well, and ever since EA has or BioWare's joined EA, it's gotten like you see their effect on Mass Effect.
Yeah.
Pardon the thing, but I think that was. But I can live with that, okay?
Yeah.
I can live with that, and I just wish they don't give me the stuff that the content's not ready and that's not integral. Just say we wanted to give the incentive to our collector's edition people, as we did in Mass Effect 2 with Kasumi and Zaid, which was fine.
Yep.
But with this whole, I can't talk about the ending now. I think there are people that really like the ending, but I think it was intentionally cut short. I don't know anything about it, but I can just hypothesize about what it is and how quick and abrupt it is just from picking up people on forums. I sort of had an idea that I don't think they expected the backlash that it got them.
No, I don't think so either.
But I think they had a plan to expand upon the ending from the very beginning.
It's possible. It's possible. I mean, then we do know that there will be DLC, but having finished the game, you couldn't have...
So how do you feel about
depending on the ending you pick, because I can't say too much, depending on the ending you pick, there is a high likelihood that you won't have Shepard.
Mm-hmm. And I don't think that's spoilers either. Like, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Could have died in the second one, but obviously the canon ending is he's got to live, or she's got to live. And that's not really spoilers. That makes sense. But so how do you feel the fact that, because this downloadable content isn't like 2 months away. Supposedly it's coming the end of April.
Well, this is the ending patch.
No, but they're going to sell this to us. It's not going to be free.
What
the downloadable content ending, the extension to the ending. This is going to be free. It's not going to be free.
Well, that's retarded.
It's not. Like, I've read they're not giving that to us for free.
What?
And barring any crazy earth-shattering announcement, it's not free.
That's ballsy.
Yeah, and see, that's what I'm talking
Considering
about.
they're doing this because fans put up such a stink, they're like, to me that seemed like a gesture.
Yeah. Now I've seen a lot of game journalists and companies have talked about how this is setting a really bad precedent.
I have to agree.
But the thing is, okay, it's not a good thing to do.
No, because
But
I brought this up with a couple of people at work, and essentially we all agree. It's not like if you hated an ending to a movie that they go back and re-edit that ending and change that artistic vision.
Some extended editions do.
Fair enough, and there might be a director's cut or something like that, but that might have been stuff that was already done.
Well, obviously they didn't come back for. Although with some of the Star Wars prequels, they did come back and shoot more stuff. But let's stay on topic.
That's that. Yeah, what I'm basically saying is like it's unprecedented in a case like this that the fans spoke
in a video game.
In a video game, and one of the things that Game Trailers was talking about is that this could in turn, adversely affect BioWare's reputation, because they're essentially saying, "Oh, we're sorry. We'll do this for you. We screwed up," and really that's them backing out on their artistic vision.
Well, they're taking the very professional and cordial approach. I don't know how they've done. I'm surprised they haven't been more aggressive in their counter arguments with the people, because some of the stuff's just absurd.
Yeah.
And Mass Effect, to me, it's bordering on being crazy with the downloadable content, but it's not even close to some of the other topics we're going to get on in just a second. Recently, the revelations in the PlayStation Store and Xbox Live, it'd be the same thing. But I don't care that they're going to add or sell us a little bit extra ending. Okay,
I'm not worried about that either.
I know that wasn't cut. Well, I hope it wasn't cut, but it doesn't seem like it's going to be. But again, it's just about how they're going about it. I just don't like how they go about it. And either way, this is another topic entirely, but I don't think it's the end. Like, I listen to some of these guys, and it's like every game is going to have that. No, because not every company is the same. Not every company is professional like BioWare or is nice and giving to their fans. There's a lot of guys out there, developers, let's say Cliffy B, the guy for Gears of War, or other guys like Final Fantasy people, although they're being a little bit more open because they have to, because people aren't buying their games as much anymore. But a lot of developers would just be like, fuck you. That's the game. You don't like it, don't buy it. And that's the only way you can do is vote with your wallet. But it's easy to say, harder to do, because video game people are they want everything.
Yeah.
If they're really into Mass Effect,
I find gamers have gotten greedier and greedier.
Greedier, and as the gaming populace gets older and has more disposable income, it's just easier to do these things. And we're seeing them. They're taking full advantage of it. It's making me sick, actually. Like, well, I guess I'll just roll into what made me want to talk about this today. I logged into the PlayStation Store last night, and even though I haven't played Final Fantasy 13-2, I'm looking at some of the... Now, costumes aren't my big problem, but when you're charging $2.99 for one costume, now the N7 armor, they added into Final Fantasy 13-2, which is Mass Effect related, but for one costume, it's $2.99.
Yeah.
So for two, it's $5. Now, why wouldn't... They're just simple palette swaps. It has no content.
So you actually have to buy Knowles and...
Separately.
Oh my god.
They don't sell them together.
Oh my god.
On top of that, they came out with the two monsters. It's just... That's ridiculous. But if that was it alone, hey, I mean, tough shit, but we got to do it. But on top of that, I really feel it's a really disturbing trend. Final Fantasy 13-2 has done it. Ashura's Wrath has doing it. They're selling chapters that I really feel were intentionally omitted from the game. Now, maybe they weren't completed, but maybe they left them... We'll focus on what we want to finish.
Here's the bigger question. Are they on the disc already?
Well, I don't know, but Capcom does it with all their stuff.
I'm really, really sick to death of Capcom putting DLC on the disc. It's really despicable.
And are they not smart enough to know that if they just took the content off the fucking disc, people wouldn't go crazy?
That's all they have to do is make it an actual downloadable file.
And they would save face, but they're just being lazy. If you actually put the content on the disc, and I know this is a topic that's really been beaten to dead, like a dead horse, but this is the first time I've really ranted on it, and it never bothered me, because me and you, we support downloadable content a lot, and I like to get the most out of games.
But we also buy games, like almost most of the games we buy our day one release.
Sure, I do support.
Or week
I like
one
to
release.
support. Yeah, I
We
like
buy
to
a
support
lot
these
of
guys.
new games. I don't buy a lot of used games anymore.
And I've never felt, well, I can't say never, but something off the top of my head. In all the downloadable content that I've bought, whether it's Castlevania Lords of Shadow, whether it's PSN releases like Fat Princess gave me 4 more jobs to use. I never felt that this was content that was purposefully omitted from the disc release in order to sell to us later.
No.
But I'm getting that feeling more and more and more, and we've played games long enough to know how this stuff works. And I'm not going to take the, I used to walk a mile in the snow approach to games like, when in my day we got a full game on release, that's it. Times have changed. I know that. And I don't care if I got to buy a little bit of content on the side.
But I'll say this much. Let some of it be unlockable.
For fuck's sakes, yes.
Please.
Like every costume in Street Fighter 4. AE, and then there's like 10, what is there, like 10 costume packs total.
Okay, well, if you want to talk costume packs, Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom.
I know, it's stupid.
I mean, come on, let us have a few things for free.
And the thing is, though, people are buying them.
Mm-hmm.
People are buying them. And although I don't agree with the costumes, it's something that they're going to keep doing, but the bigger issue for me is the actual story integral elements that I think are really being shaved from the game. 13.2 is selling a game that you loved, 13.2. I will eventually get to.
Yep.
But the Lightning DLC, and I know that it had a weird ending. It's abrupt. It's in all the reviews. Mm-hmm. Basically, it's a sequel to a game that should give a final ending, but they didn't. They just sold you a game with the intention of finishing it with downloadable content.
Well, and it's funny, too, because I knew that To Be Continued was coming, and my jaw still dropped when I saw that. Because it happened in a spot where I was like, you've got to be fucking kidding me.
And what does that tell you? Like, you're a lifelong Final Fantasy guy.
Oh, yeah.
Squaresoft supporter, Square Enix supporter now. And, like, how does that make you feel?
Well, and it's funny, too, because, you're playing the game, you got this epic fight that you do, and, like, everything leading up to the ending was pretty satisfactory. And you go into this gorgeous CG cinema at the end, you're like, wow, this looks great. And all of a sudden, things happen that make you just completely flabbergasted.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say too much because, like, I know you'll play it eventually, but
I don't really care about the spoilers. You can talk about all you want.
Like,
I'll play it
Sarah
anyway.
dies.
Okay.
That's like, you
Cool.
know, you save the world.
That actually makes me want to play the game more.
Like, you save the world. Everything's going cool. Noel's like, are you okay? Are you okay? She's like, yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay. Then all of a sudden, she's not okay.
Well, how'd she die?
She basically just collapses.
Awesome. Like heart attack? Like, is that impressive for like a 13-year-old girl to have a heart attack like that?
Well, basically, the way they explain it is that because she's got that seer power,
Whatever.
that every time that she changes events in time,
it like
basically takes her life force away.
Okay.
So by them fixing everything, basically made her life essence.
Oh,
She's dead.
okay.
Right? So
What's the movie with Brad Pitt where he goes reverse ages? Is that like Sarah?
well, I mean, okay, like you beat the game, the credits roll, and then all of a sudden you get an item that puts you back into the game and allows you to go to places that you could now defeat enemies that you couldn't before. So you get these paradox endings. Now, apparently, and I haven't done this yet, if you see all of the paradox endings, it actually...
So you get another ending sequence?
I'm guessing, well, either that
Whatever.
or it's at least going to fill in some gaps. But most of the paradox endings actually end badly.
Okay.
Like, you're doing things that...
I have no problem with that because you were playing with time.
Yeah,
like
you're playing
Chrono
with time,
Trigger elements,
and
whatever.
you're doing
but-
things that aren't supposed to be done. So by doing these, you're causing the wrong things to take place afterwards. But
let's get back on topic. The downloadable content that we all know is coming sells Lightning.
yeah,
And basically, the namesake of the entire series of the Novella Chrysalis series, that's Lightning's the main character.
Yep.
She was sold as the main protagonist of 13.2. You don't even get to use her other than stupid...
well, you use it for like 15 minutes at the very
Yeah.
beginning of the game.
And now they're selling like integral story elements with her involved in that they know everyone will buy.
well,
They'll buy that shit for $19.99.
and you said it to me, and you know, and I'll admit it, I'm gonna buy it.
You're gonna buy it. I know you will. But that is stuff should have been in the game.
Yeah.
And like on top of that, it just really really pissed me off. Although Asura's Wrath was a game that I really do want to play. I wouldn't spend $60 because I know it only had 6 hours of gameplay. But it seems like a game that would be right up my alley. But now I'm seeing they're selling like chapter elements, like chapter 11.5 and stuff like that as downloadable content that is integral to the story. And they just, okay, this is a 6-hour game. And you cut content out to sell later in a 6-hour game. If it was 10 hours, maybe.
Yeah.
This is a 6-hour game that maybe has 3.5 hours that's playable.
Well, yeah, because
it's a fucking joke.
The rest of it is an interactive cutscene.
So where does it stop?
It gets worse.
It's gonna get worse, but I hate missing out on elements of games that I love.
And
but I'm gonna stop doing it out of spite. And when it comes to me being like that, really opinionated and sticking my laurels, I'm brutal. I'm only one guy, and this is my forum here with you on this microphone, and hopefully people listen. But if you're listening, anyone that matters, stop doing this to people that support your products and buy your releases new, and will continue to do so, because you know what? We're gonna get to a point where we're just going to say, fuck this. I'm going to buy it used. I'm not going to support any of the downloadable content.
I'm not going to buy the online pass.
No, I'm not.
Yeah. Like this whole online pass thing, I understand. And actually, I read a quote on Game Trailers today where, you know, some of these game developers are talking about how the used market is cannibalizing the game industry. And I can kind of see where they're coming from.
I wrote about this a while ago.
This might even tie into a quote that you read. This is kind of a follow-up quote. That Silicon Knights guy was basically saying that games used to have a tail, what they say, and a game might sell for X amount of time. That was much, much longer than it is now. Mm-hmm. Now you've got these AAA titles and anything else that comes out, and it's got to sell like crazy for the first 3 months.
For sure.
Because the same thing is happening to the game industry that has happened to the music industry, is happening to the movie industry. Oversaturation. There is too much content. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's lots of great content, but there's almost too much of it now.
Well, there is. I mean, you look at games like Amalur and Skyrim. Who has time to put 100 plus hours? And the thing is,
into both of them.
And those games' budgets are ridiculous. Now, what if those games, all it would take is for one game a studio made to not sell to kill them?
And that's what this guy was kind of talking about. He's basically saying, you know, like, this used market is kind of cannibalizing game sales because we used to have, like, recurring revenue. You know, a game would sell initially a lot, and it would keep selling in increments down the road. Like, say, we'll use a game like Warcraft, for example.
But the thing is, used games have been...
used games have been around for a long time.
Forever. No, they've always been around.
That part of the industry has grown exponentially in the last generation.
Well, sure, and now game developers want a hand in it. My take
and I actually think that they deserve a bit of it because, well, I mean, basically what he was saying is that, like, we've got to make our money like that.
Absolutely, and I agree. Because games, we said this, and I'm not saying anything that anyone else in the game industry hasn't said. Games are cheaper now than they've ever been, based on inflation and relative to the production cost to make a game. Yeah. Games are more expensive to make than they've ever been.
Yep.
And on the scale of what games are versus what's put into them, games are very cheap. Mm-hmm.
But
they need to have a measuring stick. There's something wrong with the game industry when you buy a game. I'm going to use Skyrim as an example again. That's 100 plus hours. And then you get a game that Asura's Wrath that sells for the exact same amount but gives you an 1/8 or a 1/10 of the gameplay.
Well,
now they have to start pricing these games accordingly.
Or, see, there's two ways of looking at that. And I mean, you know, you and I have been playing for 30 years. Close to it. You have. And I mean, when we used to play games that took 45 minutes to beat, and we didn't care.
Sure, and we play them over and over again.
We beat them over and over and over again. And okay, fine, times have changed, but can you not enjoy a game more than once?
Sure. Sure, you know? But the thing is, there's so many games that people want to go on to the next one.
Well, and that's the other thing.
And I've seen a really good article. You know, we all say that we're going to come back to the game, but how often do we actually do it? We never do. It's almost never. And that's why the downloadable content, let's get back on topic with that, comes out earlier and earlier now.
Well, yeah.
Because if they don't get you with that downloadable content immediately, the chances of you buying it with each passing week and month is lower and lower.
I suppose. I do think they could take a little bit more time.
Sure, I agree.
Arkham City was a good example of them not taking enough time with their DLC.
And Arkham City's another a game that I think didn't capitalize on downloadable content enough.
I would have to agree with you.
Like,
there
they
as well.
should have had single-player content in there.
Yep.
And that stuff I would buy and line up for. I never felt like I was cheated in the game.
Nope.
I thought it was a full game, but I wanted more.
Yep.
And to give us Robin and Nightwing to use in challenge maps and not integrate them in the story.
Yeah.
Now, they missed an
That was
opportunity to add them into the story. Give them their own, like Catwoman had.
Well, even
give them their
story.
Yeah.
You know, like, so what if it happens after the fact?
Or give them episodes that play into the main story.
Yep.
Give you a reason to play through again.
Yep.
But like, for instance, when Robin shows up, have him getting in and getting out, and then the stuff after. 3, you could give us 2 hours of gameplay and sell it to us for $9.99, and people would have lined up and bought it.
Yep.
Nightwing, same thing. You could have done something either. It didn't have to be huge.
Well, okay. You just mentioned $9.99 and people would line up and pay for it. And you're probably right, but here's something that I'm going to bring up about DLC.
Okay.
I think a lot of DLC is overpriced.
Oh, a lot. Oh.
And here's where I look at it. You take a game, you pay $60 for this game, and we'll use Skyrim or like Kingdoms of Amalur as an example, because here are games that you get a crazy amount of value out of your money. Okay, so you spend $60 on this game that takes you like 100+ hours to beat.
Yeah, and even if
then,
I don't want to cut you off like you just, but even if you don't see through that 100+ hours, you know you have it if it's an option.
Right, and then they try to sell you a DLC pack that might only take you a few hours to get through, and they're charging you $10 for it.
Yeah,
that's not right. That DLC that only takes a few hours should be $5 maximum.
Sure. And on the very special case, $10 to $12.99.
Characters for fighting games should be $1.
I could see because with characters in a fighting game, balancing comes into play too. You can't just stick a character in.
Yeah.
So there's work that has to be behind the scenes with that. Now I could see $2.99, or for 2 characters, $5.
Well, let's use Capcom as an example. But all these 12 characters that are on Street Fighter.
And this is another reason why I can't get behind the Street Fighter Cross Tekken bus. I hate the game. I find it gimmicky, and with the gems, and they're trying to sell gems. On top of that, the downloadable, they're selling you downloadable combos. Combos that are pre-done. Dude, look into it. It's a joke. It's a fucking joke, this game. I hope this game dies a quick death, and we can get back to real fighting games.
I
it has
have
so
a funny
many fundamental
feeling
problems.
I don't know if that's going to happen, because I've actually seen a lot of popularity for this game.
Now, only because Capcom's really pushed at the events in the fighting game community, and I think, not to sound... But I think a lot of the guys want to be in good with Capcom, so they're really jumping on board, and they're not quick to criticize. But I follow all these guys like Ultra David, James Chen, 2 of the most prevalent commentators.
Yeah.
But they've been open with the criticism for Street Fighter Cross Tekken. There's very fundamental flaws that should have been worked out. There's far too many infinite combos. But let's stay on topic. The downloadable shit that they have planned for this game. Blanca as a downloadable content? Are you fucking kidding me? It's an original 8 character.
Yeah.
You're gonna make us pay for that?
Well, not only that, but it's going to cost $20 for these 12 characters.
Well, now that people have through data mining have found out, they're reducing the cost now.
Well, again, Capcom, you shouldn't have put it on the disc in the first place. People wouldn't have hacked the disc. People wouldn't have been taking them online.
Yeah.
I got to applaud these guys that hacked
too.
the game and took the characters online.
I do too.
I think that's rubbing the salt in Capcom's nose.
Because it's a joke.
Yep.
To admit that many characters, and then the games that we want more characters for, we don't get. Like Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom, the big mashup game. You know how many characters they could add to that game? They just don't. Like, we were talking, Asura's Wrath. Asura should have been in that game.
Yep.
That's a character, and I'm surprised Capcom never did it. It's a Capcom game with Marvel.
No.
He's a new guy, a new franchise that they could capitalize on, and they just didn't. But now I don't know if they're leading into it, but and this is cool downloadable content with Ryu and Akuma and Evil Ryu, adding the option to fight them in Asura's Wrath. Now that's downloadable content I don't mind. That's obviously wasn't omitted from the original release game.
Right.
It's something they wanted to add on for fan service, and it's an option. It's for real fans of the game.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, though. I seem to recall you being a little, like, not into that when it first was announced.
What?
The Street Fighter content for Asura's Wrath.
Oh, I'm huge into it. And I'm a big fan of that stuff.
Yeah.
But I was talking, and I think I just said that, didn't I? I did just say it. No, because I think that's what downloadable content's for. Now, you can have integral story elements that add to a finished product.
Yeah.
Fine paying for that. For instance, Deus Ex Human Revolution added a DLC pack. Now, just one, but it was good.
Yeah.
And this stuff, it doesn't add any to the story, but what is the game about? Crazy action. Capcom, Ryu, Akuma, Evil Ryu. These are fun things. Now, and if you didn't buy them, you don't feel like you're missing out on anything.
No.
But to sell like chapter 11 and a half, see what happened in between chapter 11 and 12. Well, like...
The one that caught my attention, though, was you said there was one for a true ending.
Well, that's... Now, don't quote me on it, but that's supposedly coming after. Like, to add on to the ending. Like...
That's just brutal.
It's bad. And I just don't see any end in sight. But my feeling is that... And it's going to hurt because I like to see games that I love do well. And I like to support them. And I like to see all that they offer. But I'm going to stop supporting it.
Well, the hard time that I have is that I love Capcom games. And Capcom seems to be the worst at this.
Capcom is the lead... I don't know where they got off, where they decided that they can just... Well, Cashcom now.
Well, you'd think they would have learned their lesson the last time that people hacked into the disc and found the DLC. They'd be like, oh, we better not do that again.
Just take it off the disc. People they'd still bitch, and I would bitch, because I think it's stupid, but... at least they wouldn't have issues, oh, we added it in later. But to put it on the disc and lock it out, that's just lazy, and it's insulting.
And to make it, like, it's apparently not going to be available till the fall?
Yeah, like, what is that? I don't know.
Like 6 months after release, you're going to unlock content that's on the disc? That's just wrong.
So final consensus on downloadable content to me is, I like it, but I don't like where it's going.
Right. Agreed.
That's our topic of the week. And I think we're going to... Last time we got a little long-winded doing our introduction, which is to be expected. We took all the feedback into account. All 100... Okay, how about all 10? 10, yeah, all 10 people. But hey, anybody that wants to give us feedback, that's an option. You can always email us, write into us, wherever we do post this.
Yeah.
We want to cut
sure
this
that there's
about 40,
plenty
40.
of contact information on the SoundCloud site, which I didn't add last week, but I will this week. One final thing I kind of wanted to talk about was just maybe pick a game that isn't necessarily your most anticipated game that you're looking forward to, but just something that might be under the radar that you're looking forward to. And my pick is Lollipop Chainsaw.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people say about that.
This game, I've never played a Suda51 game before, but this game just looks like crazy fun. And it's just like, it's over the top. I mean, you're a cheerleader with a chainsaw. It's an action game.
Like a beat 'em up side scroller thing, but
it's a 3D beat 'em up.
Yeah,
but you're basically playing as this, just kind of like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, except she's a cheerleader with a chainsaw. Yeah, and you're fighting zombies.
Okay. Looks like it'll be fun.
It looks like a lot of fun.
For me, there was a lot of games, but one that looks awesome to me is Dragon's Dogma. But it's not getting a ton of coverage, and I've heard it doesn't play very well. But I just don't see it. I think everything about it, from the monsters to the compact story and the fantasy elements, it looks awesome to me. So that's a game I'm really looking forward to.
I've definitely had it on my radar too. It's something that I'm just going to watch. You know, I'm going to see what the reviews are like for that one and kind of go from there. But yeah, I mean, it's the number of RPGs that are... You know, from the tail end of last year and going into this year, I mean, it's an RPG.
Yeah, people want to get on RPGs for disappearing, but it's just the type of RPGs we were used to are gone for the most part. They're on the DS and the Vita, well, not the PSP. And there's a couple JRPGs coming out, but there's more of the Western type now. But so, what is your plan for this coming week? What do you want to do?
I'm gonna go on a journey.
Yeah, I think we're both going to go on a journey.
So, we promise next episode we'll be talking about Journey.
Yeah, and my homework is I got to finish Mass Effect 3, and we'll talk about that.
So, we'll briefly talk about Mass Effect and close up our final comments on Mass Effect next time.
Yeah, because it sounds like this is just a Mass Effect podcast.
This will not be just a Mass Effect podcast, but it's we're both very passionate about this series.
Sure.
And
would you like to see, other than the ending, would you like to see more downloadable content for Mass Effect?
Oh, definitely.
On topic? I would too.
Yeah.
And, you know, a little bit, I think that's a series that it won't die. People want to see more.
Oh, it's definitely going to continue. Now, the Shepard story, as far as I can tell, is done.
Okay.
And we'll move on to something else. But, again, all those people that are upset, you got to take into consideration we all had different experiences with this game.
And that's the thing. Those people, they want to change for their sake. They're not counting the other people that actually liked it.
Yeah.
Like, what about them? Maybe they're satisfied with it. Yeah, it's crazy. But anyway, yeah, this has been episode 2 of, I think we said it on Grizzled Veterans.
Yes.
Grizzled Veterans, episode 2 in the books, baby.
In the bag.
We're going to keep doing it next week. Topics, if you have anything you'd like to hear us talk about, or just any feedback, negative or positive, we'd love to hear it. Yeah. Keep listening.
Thanks for joining us.
Peace.
Yeah, we are out.
Until next time.